Most gardeners don't realize how much time they lose waiting for their soil to wake up. They add compost, buy fertilizers, water, and re-water their beds, and yet the ground still feels dull, heavy, and unresponsive. The truth is simple. If the biology underground is asleep, nothing above the surface can thrive. Real soil health starts with microscopic life, bacteria, fungi, and countless invisible helpers that turn lifeless dirt into a thriving ecosystem. But here's the surprising part. You don't need expensive products to activate them. You don't need fancy stimulants, lab-made inoculants, or complicated formulas. The spark your soil needs might already be sitting in your kitchen right now. Something so ordinary, you probably use it every week without a second thought. And that everyday ingredient has the power to shift your soil from passive to vibrant in just 48 hours. Not in a season, not in a month, 2 days. The only catch? The way you prepare it determines whether your microbes wake up fast or barely react at all. Today we're uncovering why the simplest food can become the switch that turns dead soil into a living, breathing engine of growth. Once you start seeing soil as a living ecosystem instead of just dirt, everything changes. Every handful of healthy soil is packed with billions of microbes, tiny workers that digest organic matter, release nutrients, build structure, and keep your plants fed around the clock. But like any workforce, they need fuel. Without a steady source of accessible energy, the biology slows down, the soil compacts, and your garden stalls. That's where simple starch comes in. Microbes thrive on carbohydrates because they can break them down quickly and multiply fast. And among the easiest, safest, most universal sources of starch you can add to soil is something almost everyone has at home: rice. But here's where things get interesting. Not all rice is equal in the eyes of soil microbes. The form you use, raw or cooked, completely changes how the underground community responds. One option feeds them slowly, almost reluctantly. The other triggers such rapid biological activity that you can literally see the change within 48 hours. Understanding the difference is the key to waking up your soil on command. When you add raw rice to the soil, the first thing to understand is this. It's built like a vault. The starch inside each grain is locked behind a tough outer structure that microbes can't easily penetrate. To the soil community, raw rice isn't a quick snack. It's more like a sealed energy capsule that takes real effort to break into. Only certain fungi and a few specialized bacteria can start the job, and even they work slowly. Moisture has to soften the grain first. Then organisms like filamentous fungi creep in, releasing enzymes that chip away at the starch bit by bit. It's a gradual process, often taking weeks before the rice noticeably changes. But that slow pace isn't always a bad thing. Raw rice becomes a long-term food source for your soil biology, offering steady energy long after other amendments have disappeared. It feeds fungal networks, supports deeper decomposition, and helps maintain microbial activity throughout the season. The downside? It won't jumpstart dead soil or give you quick visible results. Raw rice is the long game, steady, reliable, but never fast. Cooked rice is a completely different story. The moment heat and water hit those starch granules, they burst open and transform. What was once tightly packed becomes soft, swollen, and instantly accessible. Basically pre-chewed food for soil microbes. Instead of struggling to crack the grain, bacteria and fungi can dive right in and start feeding immediately. That's why you see activity so fast. Within the first 24 hours, the soil around cooked rice often comes alive. Tiny bubbles may appear as microbes release gases. A mild fermentation smell can drift up from the surface, and delicate white threads of fungi begin weaving across the grains. It's not subtle. It's a clear sign the soil biology has woken up and started working at full speed. The reason everything happens so rapidly comes down to structure. Gelatinized starch offers zero resistance. Microbes don't have to fight for access. They're handed an open buffet. This super easy food source triggers a population explosion, accelerating decomposition at a pace raw rice simply can't match. Cooked rice doesn't just feed microbes, it energizes the entire soil ecosystem almost instantly. If you really want to see the difference for yourself, the 48-hour test makes it impossible to deny what's happening underground. Place a small handful of raw rice in one spot and an equal amount of cooked rice a foot away. Cover both lightly with soil and wait. After 2 days, dig them up or gently brush the soil aside. The raw rice looks almost unchanged. Firm grains, little to no smell, barely any visible microbial presence. It's like the soil hasn't even noticed it yet. But the cooked rice? It's already transforming. The grains look softer, sometimes slightly swollen or tinted. You may see tiny bubbles from microbial gas production, patches of fuzzy white fungal growth, or that faint sour scent that signals fermentation. Even a beginner can see the contrast instantly, with no microscope needed. The difference is so sharp because cooked rice removes the barrier between microbes and energy. Raw rice makes soil life work for their food. Cooked rice hands it to them on a platter. And when microbes don't have to struggle, they explode into action, turning a simple kitchen staple into a visible soil awakening experiment anyone can repeat at home. Even though cooked rice delivers that dramatic microbial burst, it's important to understand its limits. That surge of activity burns bright, but it burns fast. Microbes devour cooked rice in a matter of days, maybe a week or two at most. After that, the energy source disappears, and the microbial population drops back down unless you provide another meal. It's a fantastic jumpstart, but not a sustained feeding program. Raw rice, on the other hand, plays the long game. Its tough structure forces microbes to nibble at it slowly, releasing energy little by little. You won't see fireworks, but you will see steady biological improvement over weeks and even months. That makes raw rice far better for long-term soil conditioning, especially in beds you aren't planting immediately. So which form should you use? If you're prepping soil right before planting, reviving a tired garden bed, or trying to heat up a sluggish compost pile, cooked rice is the tool of choice. If you're building soil over a season or maintaining microbial life in a low-maintenance area, raw rice is the smarter investment. Each form has its purpose, knowing when to use which is what turns an average gardener into a soil strategist. So how do you decide which rice form to use and when? Think of cooked rice as your instant ignition switch. When you need fast biological activity before planting, after tilling, or when your compost pile feels dead, cooked rice delivers that immediate jolt. It wakes up microbes within hours and gets the soil engine running almost instantly. Raw rice fills the opposite role. It's your slow, steady fuel source. Burying a handful deeper in the soil provides a long-term energy drip, perfect for beds you're building up over time or areas where you want fungal networks to expand gradually. It won't create visible activity right away, but it sustains life long after cooked rice has been completely consumed. And then there's fermented rice water, the easiest and most versatile option of all. Light, microbe-rich, and simple to make, it's ideal for routine soil maintenance. Use it as a drench every 2 to 3 weeks during the growing season. It replenishes beneficial bacteria, boosts nutrient cycling, and keeps soil life balanced without overwhelming it. Together, these three forms create a complete soil feeding toolkit any gardener can use year-round. Now let's talk about how to actually use each form so you get the best results without inviting pests or wasting effort. For instance, soil activation, cooked rice works best when buried shallow, about 2 to 4 inches deep. That's deep enough to keep animals from sniffing it out, but close enough to the surface for microbes to swarm it quickly. Use small portions at a time, spaced out across the bed. It's not about feeding plants directly, it's about waking up the biology beneath them. Raw rice needs a different approach. Since it decomposes slowly, bury it deeper, around 5 to 8 inches, where rodents are far less likely to dig. This slow-release energy source can support fungal growth throughout an entire season, especially in no-till beds or long-term garden rows. A handful every few feet is usually enough. Fermented rice water is the safest, cleanest option for routine use. Simply dilute it, 1:10, and pour it around root zones or across the soil surface. Apply every 2 or 3 weeks. It won't attract pests, it won't overwhelm your soil, and it steadily strengthens microbial diversity over time. Each method has its place. Use them wisely, and your soil will reward you. Let's break down the science in simple terms so it's easy to understand. Raw rice starch is packed into tightly bound crystalline granules. Microbes can't easily access that energy, so decomposition is slow, like having a locked pantry full of food they can't open. That's why raw rice feeds soil gradually over weeks or months. Cooking changes everything. Heat and water gelatinize the starch, breaking the crystalline structure and turning it into a soft, easily digestible gel. Suddenly, microbes have an all-you-can-eat buffet at their fingertips. Bacteria and fungi swarm, multiply, and start producing enzymes to break down other organic matter in the soil. The key idea: microbes always go for the easiest energy first. Cooked rice gives them instant access. Raw rice makes them work gradually, and fermented rice water delivers a steady stream of life. So when comparing cooked versus raw, it's not about better or worse, it's about speed versus longevity. One sparks immediate activity, the other nurtures long-term soil health. Now it's your turn to see the magic in action. Grab a handful of cooked rice, raw rice, or a bit of fermented rice water, and try this experiment in your own garden. Watch how quickly even tired, lifeless soil responds when you give microbes the fuel they crave. In just a couple of days, you'll notice movement, tiny bubbles, and a visible transformation that proves life is returning to your soil. This isn't just theory, it's hands-on, practical gardening science you can test and repeat anytime. Whether you want an instant boost for planting beds, a slow-release energy source for seasonal growth, or regular maintenance for a healthy microbial balance, rice in its various forms gives you simple, effective control. Don't stop here. Subscribe to the channel for more real-world, actionable tips that make your garden thrive. Learn new ways to energize your soil, improve plant growth, and maximize the life beneath your feet. Start experimenting today and discover how a small kitchen ingredient can completely change your gardening game. Your soil and your plants will thank you.